Hey there, folks. We're Table of Gaming, and we are excited to bring you the first of 4 battle reports in the Crucible of Will's Stoneface campaign. Possibly the first ever to bring battle reports of this. In case you're wondering what that is, Brandon's going to explain it to you.
So we recently did an unboxing. This is the narrative pack with 2 unique characters and models as well as rule sets to create a narrative experience walking through the story of the Stoneface King. I'm going to be playing the Dwegum Force, which is the Stoneface King, and you are going to be playing
The 100 Kingdoms Force, led by Eric Schur, which the Kingdom of Pravia is also, it has Stone Kings in it. So there's a little bit of theming there, a little lore preview. I was reading through it and I was like, is the Stone-Faced King, or is it the Stone Kings of Pravia? Maybe we'll find out through the narrative. But for this first battle, the lore to bring you into things. The Dwegum of Gedamn, I don't know how to pronounce Dwegum words, but I'm just going to call it Gedam. They are divided into a bunch of clans, and through internecine fighting, they've grown weaker over the years, and Ragadosh, the stone-faced king, has been attempting to keep them all together all this time, and he finally has a plan to unite the clans once again. He is going to go grab an artifact of his ancestors called the Dragon Blade, and it's going to make everyone friendly again. Eric Schur sees this Dwegum's forces mobilizing and says, well, that doesn't look good. What can I do to stop that? Well, they're building all these supply depots on the edge of their territory. So if I burn down the supply depots, they won't have the supplies to march out and wreck Pravia. And that's where we start with this first mission. The 100 Kingdoms are launching a daring lightning strike on the Dwegum border to burn down as much of their supply camps as possible. Dwegum see the force coming, are like, wait, what the heck? They mobilize a very quick force. They come, we meet in battle. Let's see how that's going to go.
So for this mission, we have 4 objective markers. The larger ones are 9 inches in diameter and are worth 3 points each. The 2 central ones are smaller, 6 inches in diameter. They're worth 2 points each at the end of every turn. There is an extra 2 points for the Dwegum player if they kill 2 regiments in 1 turn. And the 100 Kingdoms player scores an extra 2 points if they control 2 or more objectives at the end of the turn. For the table terrain, we are using the nicely painted by Brannon STLs from the Dwegum terrain set that Bellum put out. So it's nice thematic. We have 2 obscuring pieces from the Citadel Woods kit, the Ancient Citadel Woods kit, just to add some 3D elements to the terrain. At the start of the game, I have 1 light regiment, the Mercenary Crossbowmen, so I don't need to roll for them. And Brannon doesn't have any cards at all because the Dwegum in this scenario are not allowed to bring in reinforcements on turn 1 to represent their hasty defense that they're assembling. Since I'm the only one doing anything, I win supremacy by default. I don't think that's an actual rule, but that's how we played it. And my Mercenary Crossbowmen step 10 inches forward with a double march into the woods on the left side of the table from my perspective. So at the end of round 1, we have Mercenary Crossbowmen in the woods and nothing else much going on. Well, on to round 2. Brandon chooses to have his Hold Ballistae add to the stack this round automatically. And for my automatic in, I choose my Men-at-Arms. Brandon has 2 mediums that he rolls for, succeeds at 1, and chooses to bring his Fireforged onto the board. Having formed our stacks, we roll Supremacy, which Brandon wins the initiative. And he immediately burns it by revealing a character card and passing his activation. On my activation, I move my Men-at-Arms up 16 inches using a Vanguard 3rd move provided by Eric Schur's Supremacy ability. Brandon moves his Fireforged on across from the Men-at-Arms, moves them up with a double march 10 inches, and then I kindly remind him that he has a standard bearer, and he gets an extra inch of move out of it. Across the board, my Mercenary Crossbowmen march through the obstructing forest. Actually, it's probably obscuring. I think we played it as obscuring, but they move up through it to get to the other side with a double march with standard bearer for a total of 11 inches. Brandon's Hold Warriors, with their attending Tempered Sorcerer, march onto the board using 2 march actions and move up a total of 11 inches with their standard bearer. I close out the round with the Chapter Mage casting Call Fog successfully on her mercenary crossbowman, who would be protected against any ranged attacks if there was any ranged attacks to be made for the rest of the round. At the end of round 2, nobody has exchanged any shots, nobody has thrown spells at each other, and nobody has scored any points, and certainly nobody has clashed with each other. But that's probably all about to change in round 3. We both have units that don't need to roll to come in because Brandon chooses to have his Hold Warriors come in automatically, and his Hold Thanes have flank because they're joined by Ragadosh. Eric Schur has joined my Blades of Providence, aka the Special Steel Legion, giving them flank, and I have the other Steel Legion unit come in automatically. Round 3 starts with Brandon winning the Supremacy roll. He starts off strong by moving forward with his Hold Ballista and then performing a volley action against the Mercenary Crossbowman. He scores 3 hits, which because of AP1 means that the crossbowmen just die, and then the Sorcerer scores 2 hits on his own, one of which is blocked, for a total of 4 crossbowmen dead. I move Eric Schur's Blades of Providence up the board and do a pretty large wheel through the Mercenary Crossbowman, which is a very complicated movement. I just end up doing the measurement, and then what you see is me just doing like the pickup in place at the end. Brandon's next draw is the Tempered Sorcerer, who casts Fireball into the Chapter Mage's Mercenary Crossbowman unit. The Chapter Mage provides interference, so his Attunement 3 spell goes down to Attunement 2, resulting in only 1 success. At the time, we forgot that you need 2 successes in order to successfully cast a spell, so we let it slide. The AP2 means that the crossbowmen with their defense 1 basically automatically take a wound. I fail the ensuing resolve test, and I add 2 wounds to the Mercenary Crossbowman unit. Additionally, the Tempered Sorcerer gains a token from the Tempered Creed army ability. Eric Schur stands there, and then Ragadosh also stalls. The Chapter Mage casts Ninois' Tears upon the wounded Mercenary Crossbowman and restores 7 wounds. Brandon's Hold Warriors come onto the table with an 11-inch double march thanks to their standard bearer. The Mercenary Crossbowman Regiment aims and fires at the Hold Ballistae, make 8 hits. The Hold Ballistae takes 6 damage from failed defense rolls. The Chapter Mage adds 4 of her own attacks, which cause 4 extra damage, meaning that the Hold Ballistae take a total of 10 damage and lose 2 stands, becoming broken in the process. The Hold Thanes with Ragadosh march onto the table with a double march, going up 11 inches. The non-fancy Steel Legion move in from the board edge across from the Hold Warriors, and they take not quite 16-inch march, because they have Vanguard from Eric Schur, but they are blocked by the Mercenary Crossbowmen. Capping off the round, Brandon's Fireforged do a double march just to the edge of the objective, towing in to score points for the end of the round. Okay, I lied about round 3 being where the clashing happens, but we did exchange some spells and shots at each other. The Fireforged score Brandon 3 points for being on a big objective, and the Blades of Providence score me 2 points for being on a small objective. There are no more regiments to roll for reinforcements, so we just roll Supremacy for round 4, we tie, and then on the reroll, Brandon ends up winning. The Ballistae start off the round by shimmying sideways to get into the Dwegum Watchtower, which is a garrison piece, hoping to bunker down and gain some defenses. I draw the Chapter Mage, who doesn't have range to do anything. They could heal, but no one has any damage, so they just pass their activation, draw into the Mercenary Crossbowmen, who aim, take fire, score 10 hits, end up dealing 5 damage even through the garrison, killing the last stand of the regiment and removing both it and the Tempered Sorcerer from the table. A successful attack, in my opinion. The Tempered Sorcerer is drawn, but is dead, so Brandon draws his next card, the Hold Warriors, who double march just to the edge, toe-in of the objective. I draw my Men-at-Arms, They gain Bastion from their seasoned veteran, and then I scooch them just up to the edge of the obscuring terrain so that they will get the half-shot effect when the Fireforged inevitably activate later in the round. Brandon draws Ragadosh, electing to pass. I draw Eric Schur, electing to pass. And then Brandon draws his Hold Thanes, who perform a big wheel to get themselves onto the objective and kind of set themselves up to walk through the pillars to get to my Blades of Providence and Eric Schur. I draw the Steel Legion on the flank, and I have them do a double march through the Mercenary Crossbowmen to get onto the objective, contesting it against the Hold Warriors. And if I win initiative next round, I'm going to be able to start off with a powerful clash. Those pesky Fireforged look across the objective at my men-at-arms in that forest, and through the obscuration decide to take shots, making 9 attacks, scoring 1 hit, and then I save it with a perfect 1 on a defense 3 roll. The Blades of Providence are perfectly content scoring points and doing nothing else, so hold. At the end of the round, I score 7 points, making the 100 Kingdom total 9, and the Dwegum score 5 points, making their total 8. The 100 Kingdom have pulled ahead. For the turn 5 Supremacy roll, we both roll 4. Brandon has less cards because he lost his Sorcerer and Ballisti, and wisely chooses to go first to avoid the Steel Legion Alpha Strike. With his initiative, he makes the charge. He doesn't need to roll because we're so close together. Unfortunately, initiative isn't enough. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck, because while he does score 6 successful hits, I also score 6 successful defense rolls and don't take any damage on my Steel Legion. I draw the Steel Legion as the very next card. They inspire, they clash back, they roll 25 attacks, hitting on 4s, re-rolling 6s because they are veterans. They score 17 total hits, and the Hold Warriors fail all 17 defense rolls, just killing the regiment outright with 2 extra points of overkill. So, instantly deleted. Another successful attack from the 100 Kingdoms. Brandon draws the Stoneface King and stalls again. I draw the Men-at-Arms and decide to do a very daring move. I march 5 inches out of the forest and then declare a charge. I need a 5, but I do not get that, even with the standard reroll. It causes me to stumble 2 inches out of the forest, completely exposed, but I am on the point. In case I somehow survive, I might score some points here. The Thanes reform and move forward 6 inches and kind of set up a new position, staying on the point to score points and kind of trying to lure me out, I think. Let's see if I take the bait. I draw the Mercenary Crossbowmen and use a double march to perform a massive wheel to bring them at an angle against the Thanes. Brandon activates his Fireforged, and they take aim and they fire. They are in torrential fire range, or optimal range, so they get torrential fire plus 1 shot each. They score 11 hits with torrential, that converts to 16. I take 8 damage. That means I remove 2 stands and I'm broken. It's at this point that I should remind myself and tell everyone that these are the Hellseaters, a storied regiment for this campaign, which only have AP -1. They don't have shield, but what they do have is 18-inch range and 5 shots each base. I activate my Chapter Mage, who just barely has line of sight around that Dwegum pillar in the center, and 12-inch range to cast Minor Elemental Blast, which automatically successfully casts and just causes 3 hits to the regiment. So I hit the Hold Thanes, and they have to make some saves. They fail 1 and pass the subsequent resolve test, taking a total of 1 damage. Eric Schur stalls, Brandon is out of cards, and my Steel Legion, the Blades of Providence, refuse to advance upon the Thanes, knowing that if they leave the point, I stop scoring, and he continues to score, so I don't take the bait. At the end of round 5, Brandon gains 5 points for holding a 3-pointer and a 2-pointer. I hold a 3-pointer and a 2-pointer as well, which gains me the bonus 2 points for the special 100 Kingdoms objective, so I gain 7 total points, putting me at 16 and him at 13. 100 Kingdoms is leading by 3. He is also down 2 regiments and a character, and I haven't lost any cards yet. For the round 6 supremacy, Brandon has the card advantage. He fails the initial roll, forces a reroll, but I succeed anyways, so I have the initiative in round 6. The men-at-arms start the round by rallying, removing the broken status, and charging, making it with a 2, and getting into combat with the Fireforged, but unable to make any attacks because they only have 2 actions. The Hellseaters activate immediately afterwards. They inspire and they clash. They make 10 attacks. 6 of them hit. The Bastion from activating first with the Seasoned Veteran really helps. They make 5 saves. They take 1 damage. They fail the subsequent resolve test, and they end up taking a total of 2 damage. The Mercenary Crossbowmen are drawn, and they take aim and fire, with only 1 stand lacking line of sight, having it blocked by the pillar next to the objective. They roll 10 dice and score 4 hits. The Chapter Mage adds 4 more, and because Hardened on the Thanes means that the AP 1 of the Crossbowman goes to 0, he rolls all 8 defense rolls at once, ends up taking 3 points of damage. Brandon draws Ragadosh and passes his activation. I draw the Chapter Mage. She casts Minor Elemental Blast again, causes 3 automatic hits with a successful spell cast, and he blocks all 3 of them. Realizing that the 100 Kingdoms have such a big lead that he needs to make a big play or lose right here, he does a long charge with his Hold Thanes. They roll a 5, which is enough for them to get straight into the Blades of Providence. The Thanes roll 13 attacks. They score 13 hits. Ragadosh adds 6 attacks and scores 6 hits. That's 19 total Cleave 1 hits into my Defense 3 Steel Legion. So I end up taking 15 total points of damage, which is 3 whole stands, but luckily, the Blades of Providence cannot be broken as long as the Warlord is attached to them, which Eric sure is. Then, I make my resolve tests, which is 15, and I fail 7 of them. Thankfully, due to Oblivious, that's only 4 damage points. All in all, a successful attack by the Dwegem this time. The Blades of Providence make haste in retaliating, making 15 attacks despite being down to only 2 stands left, and with Inspire, they're Clash 4 and Flurry. They score 12 hits. Eric Schur adds 5 attacks and scores 3 hits, and due to Hardened 2 on the Thanes from the Herald of Stone, they roll Defense 4 against all 15 attacks, resulting in only taking 2 damage and then a further 1 damage from Resolve. Brandon runs out of cards, so I get to activate out the rest of the turn, starting with Eric Schur, who declares a duel into Ragadosh against everyone's better judgment. Eric makes 5 attacks, scores 3 hits, and Ragadosh blocks all 3 of them. Ragadosh makes 6 attacks, which result in 4 hits and 3 blocks on Eric's side, which causes 1 damage, and he fails the resolve test, taking a total of 2 damage. Not a very successful duel, if you ask me. The Steel Legion out on the flank, hang out, and pass their activation to score points. At the end of round 6, the 100 Kingdoms gain 7 points, again for holding 2, 1 3-pointer and 1 2-pointer, so the bonus 2 points for holding 2 triggers. The Dwegem gain 3, 1 for holding a 3-point objective. So the total is 23 100 Kingdoms to 16 Dwegem. That is a fairly substantial lead. At the beginning of round 7, Dwegem win the initiative in the supremacy phase. The Thanes start off round 7. They inspire and they clash. They roll 9 attacks. They make 7 hits. Ragadosh adds 4 additional hits. They're all Cleave 1. So the Steel Legion make 11 Defense 2 rolls. They save 4 of them, and they take 7 damage, which is enough to kill the final stand, remove them from play. Eric Schur gets to die fighting, rolls his 5 attacks, only scores 1 hit, and then the Thanes successfully defend against that 1 hit. So he does no damage in the end. The Chapter Mage then activates, using her auto-cast spell to cause 3 automatic hits to the Hold Thanes. Unfortunately, they pass all 3 resulting defense rolls and take 0 damage. At the end of the activation, the Chapter Mage triggers the Mercenary Crossbowman she is part of by drawing the card. They aim and they volley with full line of sight due to the angles. I believe the way this works is that we measure line of sight of regiment and then center to center of every stand. They make 13 attacks, 6 hit. Chapter Mage adds 4 of her own attacks, which all hit. End result is a total of 3 damage into the Thanes. The Fireforged activate next. They inspire and they clash, rolling 10 dice, causing 6 hits, and the Men-at-Arms, despite their 3 defense, actually end up failing 5 times, resulting in a stand dying and the command stand taking a single point of damage. My next card is Ericshire, who is dead, so I draw the next card. It's Steel Legion. They pass their activation over on the point. The Men-at-Arms are the next card. They rally, they clash, they make 5 attacks. 2 of them are successes because I forget that they're veterans and have clash 3. Hellseaters take 1 damage from failing saves, and then they take 1 additional resolve damage for a total of 2 damage. At the end of round 7, I hold the outer flank, so I gain 3 objective points. Brandon holds the outer flank on the opposite side for 3 objective points. The final score, well, for this round, is 2600 kingdoms to 19 Dwegom. The Dwegom win initiative and supremacy for round 8. The Fireforged are the first card drawn in round 8. They inspire and clash. Their 10 attacks result in 7 hits, which results in 4 damage, which is enough to remove the Men-at-Arms entirely from the table. I draw my Men-at-Arms card, but they were just removed. So I draw the next card, which is the Chapter Mage. She casts the spell that does 3 automatic hits. The Hold Thanes fail 1. They fail their ensuing resolve test. They take a total of 2 damage, which does mean that they lose 1 of their stands. The Mercenary Crossbowmen activate next. They aim and they fire at the Hold Thanes. They score 5 hits. The Chapter Mage scores an additional 2. And of those 7, the Thanes take 1 single point of damage. The Hold Thanes are drawn, and they declare charge against the Mercenary Crossbows. It's kind of a wonky charge because of the terrain, and it's effectively corner-to-corner combat with only Ragadosh engaged. But anyways, he makes 5 hits on his own. The Thane's supporting attack causes another hit. Because they're all cleave 1, the Mercenary Crossbowmen don't get any save at all, so they take 6 damage. Then, of the 6 resolve tests that they have to make, they pass 1 of them, resulting in a total of 11 damage, which is almost 3 stands dead, which would have broken them, but luckily they started with 5. I draw my Steel Legion. They perform a reform and spin on the objective, facing the encroaching Hold Thanes, and then they scooch forward to just be toe in so that if they need to make a charge next turn, they can. Brandon's last card is the Stoneface King. He issues a duel request very politely. Chapter Mage realizes that as I won't do anything else before the end of the round, when the duel debuff drops off, there's no point in me accepting it, so I just let it slide. Goodbye. At the end of round 8, Brandon has a 3-point and a 2-point objective to gain 5 points, bringing him up to 224 total for the Dwegom. And I have 1 large point worth 3 points, bringing me up by 3 to a total of 29. So I have a 5-point lead right now. The Dweg win supremacy in round 9. Brandon draws the Hold Thanes first, and Ragadosh single-handedly annihilates the Mercenary Crossbowmen, but somehow the Chapter Mage ends up doing 2 damage to their Hold Thanes with her die fighting, leaving them on 1 wound left. On my own activation of the Steel Legion, I realized that I win the game by 1 point if I do literally nothing else, so they just back up on the objective to make sure that he can't charge. Not that he could anyways, because he just activated, but I guess it protects me on the next round. And we basically call it there. We have 1 more round to play out technically, but we choose not to because even if he does charge his Hold Thanes onto the Steel Legion, I would win the point, he would lose his points. So basically, turn 9 ends with him scoring 5 points, ending with Dwegom getting 29. I score 3 points. 100 Kingdoms would have 32 at that point. Then on turn 10, Brandon scores another 5 points for holding a 3-pointer and a 2-pointer. and I score 3 points for holding a 3-pointer, which means that the game ends 34 to the Dweg, 35 to the 100 Kingdoms, a narrow victory to the forces of Eric Schur and the defense of Pravia.
Good game.
Good game.
I won by
1 point.
1 point.
Yep.
So what'd you think of the first Stoneface campaign?
It was pretty good.
Pretty good.
The special rules on Ragadosh is awesome. He's good. He's a killer.
I don't actually know how much different he is from the normal hold
He
thing.
gave the Thays flank, which was nice because that was important to get him
I
on.
think all
no, you're
hold
right.
thanes
They
do that.
They get the Agam. You're right.
Yeah, I think all hold thanes do that. I think his special bonus, he doesn't. I think he just has more attacks.
Yeah, which is not. I mean that matters.
Yeah.
Overall, I think we played a pretty clean game. I know now. The one thing I will say in the post report, when I did this charge, I got wicked excited, and I did have full number attacks for the trailing guy.
He's referring to the charge in the middle of the table when
Correct.
his hold thanes moved off of the objective they were holding, did the big play that was necessary for him to even have a chance for the game. We were talking about it during the game, and we were like, if you don't do that, we just call it
game's-
now
yeah.
on turn 5 or 6 or whatever that was.
Yeah, the whole things are really good. I did, like I said, in that charge in the middle, I did roll full amount of attacks for the supporting stand.
Ooh, you dirty cheater!
So that was obviously impactful. And I also feel that I was getting dice really early and that flipped, that you did kind of throw your men at arms in when, I don't know if it would have done anything more if you just stayed in the back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm also thinking you weren't, I mean, to make up for the fact that you rolled full dice, Ragadosh has Relentless Blows. I'm pretty sure in the list he paid for Fueled by the Furnace.
You're right, yeah.
So
but yeah.
you nerfed yourself in that way, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first round. So the 100 Kingdoms have successfully raised, unless you wanted to talk anything.
No,
else.
that's
Okay.
if you have anything, yeah.
So as far as the story goes, the 100 Kingdoms have successfully... Eric Schur, even though he has been scared off by Ragadosh himself, his forces were able to burn enough of the supply lines that the Dwegam March has been stalled.
Yeah.
There is actually a cool thing where I now have access to some new loot that I could give to characters in my army. I get to pick between Crown of the First Stone King, which the regiment the character stand is currently attached to cannot become broken. I'm going to have to look to see if anyone can take that or just Eric Schur.
Because Eric gives that, right?
Well, yeah, if he's in the Blades of Providence, they already can't become broken.
Yeah.
But if I can give that to a chapter mage, that might be useful on crossbowmen or something. Or the Duke's Folly, which is armor that I can get for +1 evasion and Quicksilver Strike and parry, which would make him a little better at dueling, that Eric. And so I'll decide which one of those I want to take, but that is my reward for the campaign. Tune in for the future where we'll be playing the second mission, which is a First Blood battle report.
See you guys later.
Bye!